Hi everybody, my name is Belemata and today I'm going to be talking about diet culture and the way that it relates to media, especially social media and especially nowadays. First of all, I would like to start by asking you watcher, this question. Is there a chance that in your New Year resolution list you wrote something related to losing weight in order to look better? For example, this year I'm going to eat veggies on every meal. This year I'm gonna go to the gym every day or something similar. If your answer is yes, then you are most likely to have fallen into diet culture. But what is specifically diet culture? Well, this term refers to a set of beliefs that values thinness, appearance, and shape about health and well-being. Additionally, the concept places importance on restricting calories, normalizing the negative self-talk, which is, or fat talking, which is like, oh my God, I look so fat and that makes me so ugly. I hate myself for that, or things like that, which that already sounds toxic. But it's like a whole package because it also labels food as good and certain food as bad. Diet culture has been conditioned people to believe that not only does thinness and dieting equate to health, but that the pursuit of health makes one person morally superior than other. Through these 20 to 25 minutes, I'm gonna be giving you some information about the background of dieting, the evolution or process, and then the problem that it means to the society. Okay, so let's start in the 19th century. Most historians will agree that it was the late 19th century when the dieting craze started. It's important to know that back then and really up until the next century, having a little bit of weight or fat was actually a good thing because thinness was associated with starvation, disease, and poverty, while in the other hand, fatness meant health, longevity, and fertility in women. But by the mid of the 19th century, it started to grow this concern that men and women were becoming too similar and that there wasn't like a difference between both genders and that men were becoming too feminine, which means too fat because like I said before, being fat and this soft look was a characteristic of our gender, the females. And the reason why men were gaining weight is because there was this growth of the managerial class, men that in the previous centuries would have been laboring hard and doing physical work in their fields were now sitting in a very sedentary profession. And well, of course, they were getting a little fatter because they weren't doing the same activity and weren't burning the same calories. Plus, at the same time, there was this paranoia because women were started to get educated and to participate in politics. There was this anxiety to further separate the genders again. This consequently led to a fitness culture that promoted mainly outdoor activities, exercise, and sport. This in order to the male could start losing weight and building some muscle and well, stop looking like women. Back in the 1863, William Benton published the first best-selling diet guide in the USA called A Letter on Corpulence. And the guide was aimed at men and suggested food associated with masculinity, wealth, and superiority, like red meat or wine. As for women, whatever dieting advice that existed out there was initially ignored. Believe it or not, there were even publications to help women to gain weight, such as the very popular guide, How to Be Plump. But early women rights activists started to encourage women to pay attention to their diets and also to start exercising. In an article from the 1890, Elizabeth Manhattan asserted that there is no reason why, provided she has sufficient willpower, a woman should not mold her figure to her liking. This brings us to another interesting idea. At the time, dieting could be considered a tool of rebellion. Rather than only men doing diet, women were asserting that they also had the self-control to do it too. That's how it started. Yes, I forgot to mention, but on this video, I'm going to be focusing mostly on women, or well, the female perspective, since I'm a female. So I'm going to be focusing on this perspective, but that doesn't mean that it isn't a problem for men as well. Okay. And now that we are mentioning men, it's important to notice that the major reason for the dieting craze in the 20th century was men. Because up until the 1910, college was mainly homosocial, which means there were only girls in college. So women will refer to dating as going out with the girls, hanging out. Okay. But by the 1920s, the term was meant to going out with a man, just like nowadays. And then after the dating started, the goal of this act was to raise your popularity status, and to get more dates, you needed to look your best. And looking your best back in the 1920s, just like nowadays, there's like a lot of similarities in reality. Looking your best meant wearing the most fashionable clothes, but unfortunately, even though most of the women out there back in society, or the average woman actually was fat woman, the fashion designers didn't really make clothes for that type of body. They basically started this trend by only doing fashion designs for skinny women, even though the population wasn't skinny. There is even like an interview where a French clothing designer called Paul Parent dared to say, "We do not pay much attention to fat women. We cannot do anything special for them. Their case is not for the dress designer. It is for the physician." So here we already start to see the problem. Here's where the problem starts, because if you wanted to fit into those clothes, you needed to lose weight. But honestly, if you are a company, if your goal is to sell, why would you do something that not everybody can use? It's very strange concept, and it's very concerning, because it's the same nowadays, even though we are evolving, and now fashion brands are starting to make more sizes. It isn't really a big change. There isn't really a big change, and it is a problem. And from there, it's crazy the shift that the society experimented. From different beauty standards, like different body types, like it should be, now there was only one beauty ideal now. The teen figure called back then the flapper, which represented the youthful modernity. Slender, flat-chested, and small-hipped women were most attractive according to the new sexual codes of the 20th youth, because being skinny meant that you were able to date a lot, to do a lot of fast dancing, and basically freedom. In this craze was the development of new food science. Building on the mid-19th century, German research food scientists were pushing this idea to choose food based on its nutritional value rather than the taste or appearance. But it was only after the war that calorie counting became a phenomenon for weight loss. Dr. Lulu Peters, an infamous diet promoter, published numerous popular articles and books that recommended restricting calories for weight reduction. Back in time, losing weight was also known as reduction. And this woman started to tell females that they should count their calories. And just like nowadays, when men who decided to count calories were doing it mostly to gain muscle, women were doing it to reduce, to go down in size. That's how dieting for weight loss was now a woman target arena. The post-war era, the 1950 to the 1970. This time period really set the precedent for what dieting is today. In this era, we get slimming clubs and before and after photo advertising. So, technology and market strategies were becoming more and more sophisticated. The mid-century was the golden age of processed food. Media was growing as well, especially with the popularity of television. The TV projected in programs the fear about weight gain-related disease, which paired by very opportunistic companies led to the increase of the market in dieting pills, reducing plans and equipment. So and it's almost hurtful to hear that it's because of money and wanted your company to grow that you sell products to fix insecurities that at first place shouldn't be insecurities. And now, just like the title suggested, we start to see the relation between media and the diet culture. Because if you are like me and grew up or existed in the early 20s, chances are that you were bombarded from a very young age by tabloids talking about the celebrities' weight, celebrities that were brutally annihilated and shamed for gaining a little bit of weight or losing too much. And now, just like the title suggested, we start to see the relation between media and the diet culture. Because if you are like me and grew up or existed in the early 20s, chances are that you were bombarded from a very young age by tabloids talking about the celebrities' weight, celebrities that were brutally annihilated and shamed for gaining a little bit of weight or losing too much. And just like I said before, the fashion really has a big role to play into this disaster, because there were like models, for example, Kate Moss saying nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. And even though Kate Moss has expressed regret for saying that, It literally shaped an entire generation of people and how they view food and body image, how we view food and body image. Magazine, music industry, movies have long perpetuated the idea that women's worth is tied to her appearance and that her weight is a reflection of health. This kind of content is constantly showing skinny women in their covers, in the music videos, or as principal characters. Basically, creating role models, impossible role models for teenage and even adults to follow, and taking advantage of insecurities in order to promote ways to lose weight with paradoxically unhealthy diets, detox, and cleanses. It's been decades, and media is still praising the skinny, flapper look. And this kind of content is still a reality, but instead of being printed on papers, which is still a thing, it's assaulting us through a screen, through the media, to social media like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's everywhere. Okay. And diets tend to mostly appeal to people with a really low self-esteem. And I think that going into a diet with an already low self-image and a hateful body image, you are going to be prone to utilize negative body talk, as I mentioned before, and that leads to develop an eating disorder. And well, social networks in general do not cause an eating disorder. However, they can contribute to an eating disorder, say Chelsea Chronicle, a spokeswoman for the National Association of Eating Disorders. I mentioned before, nowadays young people have even formed online communities where they discuss eating disorders, or well, rather than discuss, exchange tips on the best ways to lose weight and look slimmer, using clever tags, hashtags, and abbreviations so filters on the apps don't catch them. Like, I remember there was this trend back in the 2010 maybe, where there was Anna and Mia. And if you know what that means, well, and I think we all know what it means. It meant bulimia and anorexia. So do you think this is good? Using social media to promote eating disorders? For example, on Twitter or Pinterest, there are posts of emaciated models for inspiration for teenagers, or people creating YouTube videos where they compile low-calorie diets and transformations, glow-ups, like nowadays we know, or also creating chat groups on Discord or Snapchat to share how much they weigh and cheer on the others fast, or bulimia and anorexia, or how little calories they eat, or even TikTok, that it's a new app, but also affects because there are trends that, well, they trends that themselves don't promote like eating disorders, some of them, but emphasize teen bodies, advocating teen as an ideal, just like the magazines, the movies, and the music videos that existed in the past. But magazines, movies, and television and other media that has existed or that exist in the past aren't really pursuing us or persuading us into the diet culture, because we all know how algorithms work in the social apps. So by default, one search will mean suggestions of accounts or topics related, recommending topics as fashion models, fitness apps and trackers, conscious eating, or exercising videos. So once you do one research, you fall into the diet culture. So what I'm trying to say is that one research, one word, you look for losing weight once, and then the algorithm will attack you with these thoughts that you need to change in order to look great. The glow up culture. The glow up culture. If you're a teenager like me, you probably have heard about this. Okay, so as a conclusion, social media is amazing. It's an amazing tool for communication, to get information, but it's also very dangerous and very toxic. It can be. So as a teenager, as an adult, really take care of yourself. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do exercise or that you shouldn't follow a diet. It's just that it's not about starving yourself and counting your calories, but to feel your best and fuel your body in order to live your best life. So let's not fall into that kind of hashtags that I mentioned before, that kind of content that is just really toxic. We're just damaging ourselves. So as a community and society, we need to take care of ourselves. It's not healthy. We need to find a balance. So that's all from me. I hope you like this video, or that you learn something. Maybe as long as you think about it, I've done my duty. So yeah. Bye. Thank you.